Hello, hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to the 8123 podcast. I am Pat.
I'm Garrett.
We are 2/5 of a band called the Maine.
And we talk to people on this thing.
Yeah, we do a podcast, but we mainly play in a band.
Most of the time. This is actually a early. We've only done this a few times.
Yeah. we have played in a band for much longer amount of time than we have podcasted.
Yeah. But we're having fun doing it.
We are. This today is Monday, and Kevin Jordan of This Wild Life is our guest today.
It was a good talk.
It was a good talk.
We did it about a week ago. So it's not right up to date, but this intro is.
Yeah. So we it's that cool, like Arizona's kind of becoming this little like hub for bands, and Kevin moved here maybe like a year ago, and me and him have been hanging out on and off, and then now he's kind of like joined our 8123 basketball league.
Yeah. I mean, after this interview, we asked him to play basketball that night, and now he's played with us 2 times, so he's in it. Yeah. Even if he doesn't want to be anymore, because I think he said he's very sore, but he's in it.
Yeah, he's in it. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out right now at home. We're gonna start doing some recording and getting ready to go on an Australian tour.
Yeah, we're going to Australia. If you're listening to this and you live in Australia, come check us out.
Yeah,
we'll be there in a couple weeks.
Yeah, but like for now we're kind of home. I just got back from a little vacation in Colorado where I lived my life without a phone for 5 days, which was interesting.
It was interesting for me too, because I had no one to talk to. I tried calling you a few times, and I was like, "Fuck, he's gone." Yeah. But
it's kind of one of those things that's like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's important to like shut off and like let yourself have the time to get deep.
You shut off your brain, and then you opened up your oh no, I said
brain.
Yes. Did I say shut off your brain?
Yeah.
I meant well, I guess a phone can be a brain.
Yeah.
It knows everything.
Yeah.
Phones, but whatever. I'm glad you did it, man. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. Good to be back. Good to
cool.
be back. So cool. Well, this is our chat with Kevin. I hope you enjoy it. It is kind of a long one, so buckle up and be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just talk like pretty on it, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just be in it.
Yeah.
Dope. Well, thanks for coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. When Pat told me that you guys got a spot like this, I was pretty jealous. I'd like to have something like this someday.
Yeah. Well, I am
kind of home base.
Sure, I am sure it'll happen. But
we're getting used to it too, so it's pretty cool.
Did you guys usually have a home base for writing, recording, or was it kind of just like email each other shit and get together every once in a while?
We had so our manager had an office for a long time, so like we would work out of there, and it was like a old like converted house. So there was like we had built a setup like almost as big as this. I mean, not as big, but
no. I mean, probably half. I would say half. Like probably the control room was probably half this size, and we kind of squeezed in there, and then the actually tracking room was kind of big though.
Yeah,
we just got lucky.
And usually, are you guys like all together, everybody at once?
Yeah.
So that's crazy to me because I play obviously in a 2-piece, and we are never in the same room together, like writing, until we're recording. And then even when we're recording, it's kind of just like, you know how long it takes to record vocals and stuff. So it's like, he'll just kind of peace out. during that time of the tracking, so it's kind of like there's always a lot of space on the couches in a control room when we're recording.
That would be fucking crazy to have just two dudes. Like,
yeah,
you have to be like, you guys get along like really well, right? And like it's all.
That was the exact opposite. We're like mom and dad, just always fighting.
Really?
Yeah, we're like the old married couple on every tour. Everybody quickly realizes that we're always scrapping over something.
Yeah. Well, I guess that it's definitely more of a relationship just like that. Like just two people. I mean, I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at. It's like I can go to Pat if someone's pissing me off, or he can if I'm pissing him off. He can go some. You know, we have a few people to go to. So
we did like a year of touring when we first started, where it was literally just us. You know, and it's like. Just the drives and just only seeing one person all day, every day was real taxing.
Totally.
And so like the further we got into it, we were like, okay, we need to have like really like chill, fun people out with us that are really go with the flow. And like somehow we just have like the two, that's the perfect way to describe them. Our merch dude and Tech Jabroni and our third dude that plays live with us on some tours, Bemis. They are both just like the most relaxed, fun, like awesome dudes to be around. And it's like totally helped like our relationship from not like combusting, you know what I mean? Because like I think we're both just very different people. We're very opinionated. But that being said, we have like a really good working relationship.
Yeah.
Because as far as the business side of things goes, I almost have almost nothing to do with it unless it comes down to anything that's creative. Because I just, first of all, I can't add. I'm super irresponsible and I'm just a dumbass, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And so Anthony is like a total numbers guy, and he's what kind of keeps, the business afloat and make sure that we're not just like running into the ground. And that stuff just bores me to death.
Yeah.
And so, and then when it comes to anything that has to do with like the creative side or, design, video, anything like that is where I think I'm the most interested, and that's what keeps me wanting to do this kind of shit.
Yeah, totally.
So we kind of compartmentalize a bit.
Yeah, which like having that like dynamic as far as like who's doing what within the band is like, I mean, I think that is one of the most important things to like having success in a band, because I mean, how many bands have we seen that like everybody in the band is trying to make the same decisions? And it just
doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need both. Like that sounds like a good mixture.
I think a successful like group of musicians would have one of two things. They'd either have one guy at the helm that is just totally steering the ship and everybody supporting that vision, or they would have at least an odd amount of people so they could vote on things whenever there's an issue.
Yeah.
But we have neither of those things. We have two guys who want to steer, the ship, and no tiebreaker. So it's like it's pretty difficult at times just deciding what you want to do if there's just two people. So a lot of times we kind of weigh on or lean on our friends to help us make decisions creatively. We lean on our management on business, decisions and stuff like that. But we've definitely utilized outside perspective, because I think that's the one thing that we lack the most about our own music is perspective, because we're so close to it.
Totally.
When it comes to like the music or something, Anthony is a total guitar guy. He loves lead lines, and I think I always tell him, I go, well, when people listen to music, they're hearing it in black and white, and you're kind of you're seeing it in full color, right? But most people just take it in as what it is. It's one thing. It's not it's not a million things. It's the sum of all of its parts. And he might like a song because he has a fucking wicked lead line in the bridge, but that's not, but that does not make a good song.
Totally.
And I'm the same way. It's like, I love lyrics, and I know a lot of people could really give a shit less about lyrics as long as it feels good and it's catchy.
I'm one of those guys. Like I'm not a lyric guy, but it's one of those things that there needs to be the one line in a song that like makes it all make sense to me. Like you could say about like Bob Dylan could say a bunch of bullshit all day, and then like there's one line in it that makes sense to me, and it makes.
I always call that the button. You just gotta put the button on it. Boom, it's done. And the line is good.
Yeah, and then it's like. That's why that song matters, It's all for me. It's like all about like the feeling and the.
I can actually see it both ways. I think when I was younger, I always played drums in bands, and I never gave a shit about lyrics. I liked melodies, I liked catchy, lines, and I like the feeling of a vocal. I think everybody does. It's the most relatable instrument because everybody has one, right? But I never cared about lyrics until I started writing them, and now I'm like really attached to lyrics, especially my own, obviously. But even when I listen to stuff now. I realized when I was younger, I knew like every fucking drum fill to every like thrice song that ever existed. And now it's like, I don't even know the drum fills to our songs, like it's kind of just like, I know the beat's kind of like this, but I think I've started to hear songs more as a whole rather than as like the pieces over the years. I just don't pay attention to that stuff as much. But that's a lot of times where I'll just be like, there's no way I'm going to make this bridge any shorter. I know, like, just because, because you're bored with it, I go, because the last lyric of this part is like the most important part, but that's not what makes a great song.
Totally.
Like sometimes like cutting things down, making things simpler, getting a point across in as like simple a way as possible is sometimes the best thing that you could do, but it's also the most difficult to strip things down that much. And, in the writing process, that's been something that's been challenging, because I'll write too many lyrics, and then it's just like, hey, you can't really have a 32 bar bridge in this, kind of pop song. It's like, oh, shit,
And,
like,
I guess what's probably more challenging for you guys is to like keep it exciting even for yourselves in a song, because you're not having like fun playing a drum part like a jam or something. Like for us, like we could have like a bridge that's just cool because it's like fun to play. We're like, for you guys, it has to be a great song every time because it's so simple. It's so the instruments are so few.
Yeah, I think it's like sometimes you can lean on a groove, or you could lean on like tones. Yeah. And those can inspire the next part of the song or an entire record or whatever. Yeah.
Where you guys have acoustic guitar.
Much. Yeah. So it's like, if there's like, to me in This Wildlife song, if there's like a crummy lyric, it's just like, then that's just a shitty song.
And it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing to hide behind. Totally. That's kind of always been the challenge. I think it's also what makes it kind of unique, and it's what makes it fun to me and really expressive, but it is challenging. It is, but it's the same thing. There's like, there's ups and downs to it being that way. I think when there's too much going on, it's hard to get a point across sometimes, and it's hard for people to even just understand a lyric, especially live. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a band live that like that didn't have like an incredible venue, incredible sound system, incredible sound mixer, and been able to tell every lyric that the singer was saying if there was a drummer on stage. It's like, it's over, dude. It's like, unless you know that song, you don't know what the hell they're saying. Sometimes I can't even tell the key that they're playing, and I'm like, where is everything right now?
Yeah, totally.
But for us, it's like, as long as the vocal is clear live, I think people, for the most part, unless I'm just not enunciating, they're going to tell what I'm saying, and they're going to get what the point of the song really easily. And that's kind of that's a benefit and a negative, because like I said, if the lyric sucks, then nobody's going to connect to it. But if the lyric is good and people connect to it, they're going to get it right away. They're not going to have to put in their headphones.
When it's an emotional, there's an attachment there, when it's like, when you're so stripped down and like it's just two guys up there, and like it is like, if the vocal's sitting on top of everything really well, and like the guitars are kind of like vibing underneath, like that's great. It's almost like poetry in a way, like a guy going up there.
Don't call it poetry. I hate that.
like a guy but like, I don't know, going to see someone like just express themselves, I guess, and like it's different. Like we can go up and like fucking be noisy, and like it can kind of be exciting in a way. Like, but the exciting part of that is you, being up there and just word in a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I think every aspect of our band has a drawback and a benefit. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like there's not as many people to delegate work to, so it's like a lot of it, we have to do a lot of the heavy lifting ourselves, literally and metaphorically, the heavy lifting. Yeah. But then, it also, we're able to do this full time, not being a very big band financially, because there's only two of us, right? Yeah. So it's like, I can't imagine. I go, well, I'm kind of poor right now, but if I had to divide it by 3 ways, by 3, by 5 like, instead of 2, I would for sure be working like at some fast food restaurant in between tours, because there's no way I could, survive. And it's like, and at the end of the day, that would take away from whatever we're doing, because I wouldn't be able to really focus on making great songs and making like really like compelling visual elements to them. I wouldn't have the time to do any of that shit. So I'm super grateful for the position.
And like, that's something I doubt like any band is thinking about, like when they start, is like, hey, if like we had like, when you're like early on, if you were like a 3-piece versus a 5-piece, like the threshold that you have to hit to like quit your job and just be a band full time, it decreases,
big time.
And which is, interesting. You know, it's I guess that's something that I've never really heard anybody talk about all that much. It's like, you know, if you're in like a ska band and you have like 8 people, like how much harder is it for everybody to make a living?
I wonder if the singer
like,
just like fucking despises the horn
Yeah,
section
it's like,
because they only play like
fuck
2
you
parts
guys,
during
yeah.
each song. You know, he's just like,
Yeah.
he's like, am I seriously splitting my check with these guys?
Maybe they're not.
yeah. But
That's why there's always a different horn section each tour.
I want to talk about like, I think the first time that I met you, and I don't even know if you remember this, but you were on our bus, and you were helping somebody do an interview.
Oh, okay. I thought this
Right.
was going to be one of
Oh,
those. I
God.
don't know if you remember this because you
You
were
were like
belligerently drunk.
super drunk. you know? No,
I
but
do remember that. Yeah.
do you remember that? So I think this was like you guys were like kind of maybe just transitioning into like doing the acoustic thing. Like
yeah,
full,
probably about that time. Yeah.
So what I found like interesting once then I like heard about you guys again and like your like name like started to pop up and I was like, oh, like that's that dude that was like helping the girl with the interview on our bus. Is that you guys kind of seem to like seem to be very involved with the scene as you were coming up in it, right? So
Big time.
you were posting on Absolute Punk, you were you know, just do it, you know, you were going to shows, you were helping with interviews, you were just doing anything you could to like be a part of this world. And then how did it feel then like when as you started to like slowly then like be in it, you know? Now you're the guy that you were hoping to be, you know?
I guess it's like such a slow process, and I think to the outside perception, people always think things happen really quickly, and they think like, man, you guys like, you know, anybody from my hometown be like, damn, you guys really blew up like fucking overnight.
Totally.
I'm like, over how many nights? You know, like
Yeah.
And also when you're in the position, you still never really feel like you got there. You know, it's like
No.
and it's like, you know, you guys are in a band that's far bigger than ours, and I you know, you guys probably feel the same way where it's like we still need to work really hard to maintain, to grow, to do other things. We're still really ambitious. And I think that's most people who do this kind of stuff are really ambitious people because you kind of have to be to get to this spot. Unless you're just kind of along for the ride with some other guys who are ambitious, but you have to at least be connected to somebody who is that way. And so to me, like we're never satisfied with where we are. We're always trying to do more. We're trying to be better songwriters, better performers. But I mean, it was like a super exciting time. You have to think when we made our first record, Clouded, we recorded that in the summer of 2013. And that's when things really started to change for me because I had always played drums in bands. And then I started this band as like a full band, you know, playing pop punk. I was just playing guitar. We had a different singer. That dude quit. We tried to find a different singer, couldn't find anybody. So I kind of just like got talked into singing at a show. Our first show, we opened up for the Wonder Years at the Epicenter in San Diego. And on stage, I said, I'm not actually the singer of this band. If you want to sing for this band and you're better than me, come talk to me at the merch table after our set.
That's incredible.
You know, and it's
That's
like
amazing.
And then, you know, from there, we tried out some people, couldn't find anybody. And literally the guys in the band at the time just talked me into doing it, said, why don't you just sing? You know, and it's like, so we went back and our first EP that we still have out, you know, it's called the Pop Shove It EP. That was initially recorded. I wrote it, but I wrote it for a different singer to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to go back and re-record the vocals for it, right? And just cut the EP again vocally. And I just never saw us getting to this point. Like I was the guy that I always look at things in a pretty negative light. Like I always feel like when things seem like they're too good to be true, they usually are.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything that happened from that point moving forward was kind of crazy, but we tried to do the full band thing. It failed. And the reason that we ended up making the first record fully acoustic was Anthony and I were both working at Guitar Center at the time. That's where we met. He was my manager. And our whole plan was, hey, let's just make a full-length acoustic album and we'll make little YouTube videos for every song and that'll be it. And we'll just keep working here and maybe we'll play some more local shows. Maybe we won't, you know, and we'll see what happens. And at that point, we ended up like hitting up different producers and stuff. And I contacted a guy named Aaron Marsh who sings for the band Copeland,
Yeah.
who is one of my favorite bands in the world.
Totally.
Same. Yeah.
And the kind of the funny thing is we're on like our first like acoustic tour, like going out to Texas and back from SoCal, and I had emailed Aaron because he said on Twitter, hit me up or whatever, and he never got back to me. And Anthony's like, man, it's a big bummer that he didn't get back to us when he said he was interested. He didn't even email us back and say no or something.
Mhm.
He's like, try and email him again, you know? And so I went and I realized that I didn't email him from the band account, that I had emailed him from my personal Hotmail.
Gosh.
And so I emailed him again from the band account that said our name in it, you know? And boom, that hour he got back to us. And
Holy
I was like,
shit.
oh my God, like we're in talks now to make a record with one of my fucking heroes. And you know, like a few months later, we flew out to Florida, no label, no management, no nothing. Actually, at this point, we had several managers that had picked us up and dropped us because they couldn't get us signed. And so we went out there, funded our first full-length record, making it, you know, on the other side of the country and stuff. And it was really fucking financially really difficult for us. We were just charging our credit cards basically to make this happen. And during that time period is when, you know, Epitaph Records kind of stepped in and said, hey, we're interested in this record that you're making. And I grew up, like I said, I grew up in SoCal.
Yeah.
You know, I listened to punk bands like The
that's a
Offspring,
big deal,
Bad
yeah.
Religion growing
Yeah.
up. I was just like, I mean, the story is like pretty ridiculous, but I'm like literally in the studio tracking a vocal, and Anthony's in there sitting on the couch like he always is when we're fucking recording. And he's on Facebook Messenger and he goes, hey, Kev, really quick. Some guy named Brett Gerwitz messaged me, said something about like a label, Epitaph or something. And I was just like,
He didn't know about Epitaph?
he didn't know who Brett Gerwitz was. Maybe he knew what the label was, but he was like so clueless, you know. And he's like, do you want to come in here really quick? And I was like, are you just fucking with me, you know? And he's like,
That's incredible.
No, it's like, no, they say they want to call us. And I'm like, what? And so I run in there and I look at this thing and I'm just like, my fucking heart's racing. I'm sweating bullets. And Aaron's looking at us like, what, dude, what's going on here? Like, maybe I just went from recording this freaking crappy local band to recording, you know, like doing a sign thing. And it was literally, his assistant found us on Facebook on some videos that we posted and said basically, I heard it and instantly wanted to sign it.
That's
and said,
insane.
I want to get on the phone with
I
you
mean,
guys.
like that's kind of what like that's like the dream scenario. Like I remember sitting in class in high school just daydreaming about the idea that like I was somehow gonna get like a phone call from like Richard from Drive Thru, and that like he was gonna say like I want to sign your band, and I was just gonna walk out of school and then like
shit.
and like that's it. And like that's kind of what happened to you.
I have two quick quips to say about what you just said. First of all, Richard Rains, my first band when I was in high school tried to sign to Drive Thru. Have you guys heard about any of
Did you have to walk on his back?
Did you walk
I
on
sure
his
did.
back? Yeah, nice.
Was it
Two of
fucking
us.
weird?
Yeah.
At the time, like my buddy was working at the merch place that he ran, because he owned a merch company, and he just goes, he's like, yeah, print out your lyrics, come and he told us ahead of time. He's like, he has bands like walk on his back while he listens to it and he reads the lyrics. And I was just like,
What the fuck?
I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's like, that sounds weird to me, but Drive Thru Records, that's pretty cool, you know. So we showed up and we're in his office and stuff, and he's like, all right, let's get to it. And he just like jumps on the ground. He's like, yeah, kick your shoes off. And so me and my other buddy, and we're in like 17 or 18 at the time, are just walking on this big dude's back while he's listening to our shitty demos.
It's like an opposite of a power move, I feel like. You know? It's fucking weird.
But that was funny. And then the other thing about saying then you wanted to walk out of class, just really quick, it made me think about when I was in high school. It's like it was like right before the Iraqi war, and or maybe it's Afghanistan or something. I'm not like a huge political guy, but there was some big school-wide thing where they said, we're going to have a walkout at this particular time. Everybody's supposed to like walk out of class and leave the school to protest the war, right? And so I'm in algebra class, and Mr. John's freaking algebra class. And right at the time, I'm sitting there looking at the clock. I'm looking at all my classmates, and I'm waiting for it. And the clock goes to that number, and I stand up and I go, no blood for oil. And nobody else got up. And he goes, Kevin, sit down. And I could not sit down. I had to leave. Like, I was so embarrassed that I actually walked out, and I was the only one to walk out.
Oh my God. No one else did it?
Nobody in my fucking
Did everyone
class-
fucking lie to you? Was it a lie?
No, there was like, people had like flyers there passing out and stuff, but nobody got up, and I yelled it. I just like hit my table.
Fuck this.
Oh,
Oh,
God, bro. And I just walked home because I lived right across the street from the school.
That's incredible.
But we could go back to music, but that
No, I love that
stomping
story.
out of
Let's keep
class.
going down that path.
Yeah.
It was pretty embarrassing. I
No,
failed
that
my
is
class, too.
no. I feel like now that's something you should be proud of.
Yeah.
And no
I
one
was
else,
kind of a political activist at
Yes.
a pretty young age. I
Yes.
couldn't vote yet, but I was.
but you're doing your part. Holy shit,
oh,
that's fucking
that's-
crazy. That's two crazy stories right
Yeah.
now.
But
That's
so
awesome.
what you're getting at is like kind of how does it feel once you've kind of, I wouldn't say arrived because like I said before, I
No,
don't
but
think
like,
you feel that way,
you're kind of on the inside now, right?
Yeah.
So like before you're like dreaming and you're looking at these bands that are on Epitaph and blah blah blah, and now you're sitting in the office of Epitaph, and you know now you're not just like commenting on Absolute Punk, like they're posting about you, you know. Because I remember the first time that our band got posted on Absolute Punk,
You cried.
I cried.
He called me. I was on a trip with my family.
This was at like 6 a.m. I don't know why I was up at this time. but-
I was on a trip with my family, and I get a call from Pat. I'm like sitting there, and then he's crying, and I'm like, dude, what happened? I thought like maybe like John was quitting or something, like something crazy. I was like, what's up? He's like, dude, we got posted on Absolute Punk, and it was
like
like
I was just so happy I just couldn't like contain myself because like I was so obsessed with these bands, you know, like
Yeah.
I like this was my life. I had every DVD, everything of every band, and it felt like, oh wow, like now I'm a part of this world.
Yeah.
Like, and this was like we had no fans, we had nothing. Like it was just like a post on a website.
But it's some sense of validation that what you've been working towards, that there's something there that somebody else sees or believes in what you thought only you believed in at that time.
Yeah.
That those kinds of times to me are still to this day like so exciting for me. And
I mean,
think anybody
it's
around
still it still happens to me. I mean, we just played with Taking Max Sunday two weeks ago, and you're just me and Garrett are sitting there watching them in the back, and it's just like, these are our friends. Like, what the fuck? Like,
what happened?
what happened? Like, and that's the thing is like for people that are like listening that want to do anything in this kind of world or any artistic thing, it's like they think that people in bands are on this different like level, you know, but like we are all just kids that were fans, and then you work hard and you make something, and then all of a sudden you're on the inside of it.
Yeah, and the world is so much smaller than you think it is, but yeah, to this day I still find myself like so excited about touring, meeting people, anything like that. Like anybody that has toured with me knows that like I'm really like easy to impress with that. I get starstruck really easy. Like I'm actually hanging out with the guys from the Maine right now. It's like I've listened to you guys for fucking years, you know, like I love your guys' fucking music, and I just like, yeah, I always do this thing where I go, a year ago or 5 years ago, if you told me I'd be doing this,
Yeah,
I would just tell you you're fucking full of shit.
Totally.
You know, and I'm always grateful and like stoked to be doing any of the shit that we've been able to do. I think this year we both ended up doing this, but we both toured Dashboard Confessional this year.
yeah.
that was
And that
fucked.
to me is the craziest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. Like, and I told this story on stage every night. But when I was 12 years old, my girlfriend Natalie bought me an acoustic guitar. She bought me like $100 Fender, right? Or no, it's an Epiphone, sorry. And the only condition was that I had to learn how to play a song and sing it for her. And that song was Screaming Infidelities from Dashboard Confessional when I was fucking 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, and it's
Yeah.
like, I'm sitting here fucking opening a whole fucking national tour for this guy. Like,
And he's like
literally
the
my
coolest
hero.
dude ever, and you're
he's
talking to
so
him and hanging out with
humble.
him every
He's
day.
so cool.
He's too nice.
Dude, like the first day, I mean, we got this tour 2 days before it started. We were on tour at the time up in Ontario, not Ontario, Vancouver. And we had to drive out to Boston in like a snowstorm and be there in 40 hours. Right. So we were just like,
That's
but it was just like,
insane.
and we thought we were going to be home in 2 days. And it's just like, you're going to be on tour for another 5 weeks. It's just like, okay, I brought 12 shirts. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
But-
which is something that never happens.
No,
by,
that also
by the way,
never-
like
yeah.
usually if you're on a tour, it's like planned
You know,
out
like 6 months at a time.
a year in advance. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we showed up to the first day of the tour. We were playing Paradise in Boston, Paradise Rock Club.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I'm just like, walk into our green room, like kind of getting some of our stuff set up. And then just like Chris just walks in and sits down. I'm like, you really just like, you just walked in here and sat down and you're just going to chat it up with us for freaking 30 minutes.
Totally.
And he was just like so excited to be doing what he's doing. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this is a guy who's been touring for like 2 decades almost. And he's had, you know, success greater than most bands in our like in the world now will never see because the landscape is so different now. But like, to be on the Spider-Man soundtrack, to be like a platinum selling artist, to tour in stadiums with fucking Bon Jovi. It's like, this guy has attained more than like I could ever dream of. And he's here playing in an 800 cap room in Boston and is like psyched and like
Super pumped. Yeah.
doesn't hold back at all. Like he fucking wails every night, every moment. He doesn't hit a fucking low note for the life of him. He doesn't cheat ever. He just legitimately loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like the most inspiring thing, because like sometimes, you know, it's like you have to work to not become jaded. I think you have to be, that's a conscious decision to not get jaded on what you're doing sometimes.
Totally.
And not take it for granted. And I see somebody like him that's seen the highs, seen the lows, seen everything in between, and he's just has such a good attitude about everything and loves his fans so much.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like one of the nights I made a joke and I posted a picture on Instagram, but like he went over to, it was in Minneapolis, he went over to merch afterward and he was just taking pictures with fans, like selling t-shirts. And I was just like, I took a picture, like, you know, nobody's waiting in line to fucking meet my dumb ass standing at merch, but like I like rolled up my shirt sleeves like Chris and like posed with him in the background. And I was like, if Chris cuffs his shirt sleeves and hangs out at merch, then fuck, so do I.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, he's such a nice person, and it's exactly that. Like, you talk to him, and he's just a completely normal, actually not normal in like the sense that he's like the nicest, and he's super hardworking and everything. It's great to see like him be so cool.
Yeah, and like for like bands like us, like then that gives you something to aim for, you know. It's like, this is how I need to treat people, you know. And it's
I think that honestly
it's incredible.
A lot of other musicians like inspire me and keep me motivated and stuff. Like I'll say even about you guys, I think every time that I've, you know, seen you guys at Warped Tour, you guys are the biggest band out there hitting the lines in the morning, selling your own CDs. Like aside from that, you guys do everything independently, which is fucking punk rock as hell, and I think is awesome. You know, like fucking, I have a ton of respect for you guys for that. But just to see you guys out there, like putting in the work for yourself, because you could probably have somebody else go do it and just like pay somebody a few bucks, or find some kid that just wants to be on the Warped Tour and have them go sell your CDs every morning. And you guys would still sell a bunch of CDs because people would go, oh, that's the main CD for $5. I'm going to fucking buy it. That's cool. But you guys walk out there, the whole fucking band together. It doesn't need to be that way, and you guys choose to do that. And to me, that's always been kind of like one of those benchmarks that I look at. I guess I go, I want people to see how much this matters to me. You know, like I don't want people to think that I'm taking this for granted. You know, like we've done Warp twice now. We did it in 14 and 15, and my thing was I always just said, it's like, dude, I just want people to know that I want this, and I want the stage managers to see me every fucking morning sweating my ass off with everybody else and working and helping other people, because I don't ever want there to be any any sense of doubt that those guys don't deserve something or that they haven't earned what they've gotten. Like I want everybody to know how much I fucking want it, how much I love to be a part of that world. And I just like geeking out with that kind of shit anyways. But
there's nothing, you know, there's nothing more that I want in my life than to be in a band. So it shouldn't be easy. Like it shouldn't be easy to have your ultimate dream. Like it should be easy to have a crappy job.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be easy to have what's like your dream goal. Like it shouldn't, like, and to like keep that and to like sustain that for a long period of time. Like what makes anyone think that should just happen? It's like you're aiming for something that nobody gets to do. So why would it be easy? You know? So that like that's why for us, it's like I don't want this to end. Like this is all I want to do. Like I want to be in this band when I'm 50 years old. So like for that to happen, you can't just coast. Like you can't just idle, you know. You have to keep you have to keep that same like spirit that got you from one fan to 10,000 fans. to get you from 100,000 fans to 500,000 fans, you
Yeah.
know? And like once people get to that 100,000 fan mark or whatever, and they're playing to 1,000 people a night, or even less, like they just quit on that, and they just think that like, oh, now it's out of my hands. Now it's in the hands of the music industry.
Yeah, it's on
and
cruise
and my
control.
manager, my record label, and like if we're gonna get big, it's gonna be because
Someone else did something.
they put me in the right magazine, or I got the right tour, or things like that. But like, why can't you just take that same approach that you had to get your first fan?
Yeah.
You know,
I think
that's-
we've been guilty of doing that at times where we thought, when we first got started, all we wanted to do was release music and eventually tour and stuff, but we couldn't do that. Like we couldn't make a full length. We didn't have enough money. We couldn't tour. We didn't have a tour van. We didn't have anybody to go out with. We didn't have any of these things. So we always knew the key to any of those things is to create something that people want to be a part of, something that you could share with people. So it's like, okay, let's write more music and let's connect with people. And I do think you're right. A lot of people, and we've been guilty of it at times too. It's just, you kind of lose sight of that simple fact of create music, connect with people through that music. You start thinking bigger picture, like, oh shit, this could be like an alternative pop radio thing, or this could be that. And like, people in the industry will tell you all these things that you could be doing and that they can do for you. But at the end of the day, like we've always kind of come back to, well, that's kind of a pipe dream. We're living a pipe dream also. It's a different pipe dream. But then there's the secondary one. There's the having your song in a freaking movie, or playing, the Late Show. It's like any
Where
of those
it's
kind
just
of things.
like better to control the things that you actually can
Exactly.
Well, it's like,
control.
if
And
some guy's
if,
gonna-
if that stuff comes, that's just extra bonus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy that's saying that, it's like, okay, yeah, you go do that for us. We'll keep doing the thing that we're gonna do anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then like, that's the way it works.
So like early on, I know that and I'm sure you've talked about this at length all the time. So I'll try to ask it in a different way. But I just found it interesting. So the cover of Bring Me the Horizon that you guys did, that really, I mean, it has 18 million views or something on YouTube alone.
It's got a lot. Yeah, it's got a lot.
Yeah, it's
Anything in millions is always
it's insane. I mean, like, we've never had a video get 2 million views, like that's insane. Once that hit so well, and once you guys were having like success from that, was there any thought within yourselves or pressure from the label to kind of, or from management or anything, to like keep going down that path of like, I mean, you like with those amount of like views, if you guys would have kept that up, you could have been like a YouTube act as opposed to like a touring band.
Yeah.
Like if like you guys could have just gone down that path.
I think we did that cover while we were recording our first album. Aaron Marsh got sick basically, and was like, hey, I can't come in, I have the flu, I'll get Kevin sick, and then we won't be able to finish the record. And so we didn't have a car there or anything. We're in Lakeland, Florida, which, if you don't know what Lakeland is, it's just kind of in between Orlando and Florida. It's a small town, not a lot to do, and it just is hotter than hell and pouring rain every minute of the day, somehow. So it's just, there's literally nothing for us to do but be inside at the studio. And we just said, let's be productive, let's do something. And it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing where I told Anthony, I was like, this song rips, man. And I feel like there's some really cool melody to it that we could like kind of flip and do it our own way. And it kind of instantly the next day, literally the first day, it got like 100,000 views or something like that. It just
Holy
like,
shit.
it like really, really took off, in a way that we didn't expect. And we never really felt any pressure to go down that path. I think if anything, we felt pressure to push back against that and show that we could write our own music. I think in a way we showed that we're creative and we can write, because we had, we didn't just do like a verbatim cover of like, an acoustic song. We made something our own. And I think that requires some kind of skill to do that. But we really wanted to prove that we were songwriters and show that we were going to do our own thing. And so we didn't push away from that, because we were still like, trying to exist in that world. You know, we were touring with Pierce the Veil and Beartooth and Mayday Parade and bands like that during that, you know, that year that followed. But yeah, we just wanted to write our own songs. But I've always been super, super grateful because I know that that's what opened up this door that allowed us to release our own music and to connect with people.
Yeah,
so,
because you know, like especially with like the rise of like emo night and you know all that kind of stuff. It's like you guys could have, I guess, and you still could like kind of become like you could put out an album of like the biggest songs from our scene, like done acoustic and like covers, and it would be massive.
We've thought about it, and it's one of those things where I just don't think it's as gratifying to play other people's music as it is to write your own and create. You know, and we've done little things here and there, like we did a Nirvana thing just for fun because it was like coming up on the 20-year anniversary of that record, and we thought that'd be kind of a cool way to celebrate it. We did a split with Real Friends where we each covered each other and stuff, and that kind of stuff is actually pretty fun, and it's actually really challenging to us. Can be harder than doing your own song because you're having to work within the bounds of somebody else's piece of art and not disrespect it, but do it justice, and that's really challenging. But I don't know. It's like I said, it's just not as gratifying, and I'd rather be smaller and do my own thing than, you know, it's like, you know, somebody like Boyce Avenue, they're incredibly talented. They're incredibly successful. They're bigger than we will ever be. I guarantee those guys make an insane amount of money. Could we go do the same thing? No, they're way better than us. But could we try to mimic that and go after YouTube money and be YouTubers? We for sure could. Yeah. And it's just not enticing to me though.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, we've done tons of covers, and it's like
they're fun.
Well, you kind of not like you feel like you're half-assing it, but it's just not as important, you know, as like you can take it and like you can have fun with it and like, try new things, but it's like you never get the feeling of like, oh well, this is totally ours.
Yeah, I think they should be used like for fun and in between releases. They should be like a tool to help open the door to your own music and stuff. And I think the reason that it worked so well for us in the beginning is that we were doing this cover and we totally made it our own, so that when people heard it, if they were a fan of the way that cover sounded, that they could go down the rabbit hole of This Wildlife and find a bunch of songs that sounded kind of like that they would enjoy. So it's like, if you know, it's like, do I just want to go record Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber songs and just do everything out there? Because it's just like, well, obviously these videos are going to get millions of views of these mega popular songs because the song's mega popular and people love to watch unknown talent, you know, perform, you know, and it's like, there's something that's really cool about that. That's why The Voice exists. That's why American Idol exists. But at the same time, you know, out of a show like that, like The Voice, it's like, you know, they have all these winners and all these contestants that people love and they're watching them night after night, millions of people voting. And then what happens when the show's over? They're
just done.
Yeah, the majority of them. You know, some of them go on to have a lot of success, and that's awesome. This is something I've actually never talked about, but I went and auditioned for The Voice. They contacted me before we made our first record, and I flew up to San Francisco, did the audition process, got passed through, and was gonna go on to the tapings, like to go actually like play behind their chairs, and did like you know, they do like the whole video interviews and stuff like that.
What happened?
We started making our record with Aaron, and the tapings were in the middle of that record, and it just came down to a decision of, is that what I want to do, or is this what I want to do? Yeah, you know. And it was like, I pretty much did it for my mom.
Made the right choice
because my mom loves that fucking show, and she just always drilled me about it. And I actually, when I got the email, I was like, what the fuck, you know, because it came to the band email because one of the producers of the show had seen some of our acoustic videos or whatever, and they invited me to come, you know, audition. And so I told my mom, and she's like, Kevin, if you don't fucking do this, I will kill you. Know, and I was just like, I kind of owe it to her.
You made it up to your mom by being on The Bachelorette. So
true. Oh god, I've done a lot of embarrassing things in my life. But it's like, you know, it's that thing where I just don't think I'd be as happy doing anything other than writing my own music. So it's
I get that for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like it was like Newfound Glories from the screen to your stereo.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff
Great.
rules. You guys
That's
have done
great.
some awesome covers.
When you guys toured with Newfound Glory, and I guess just touring with bands in general, like Pierce the Veil and stuff, is it challenging when they're so loud and their fans their fans are coming to the show to be in a mosh pit, and then you guys walk up to two dudes playing acoustic songs? 'Cause I know even for us, like, there's just tours, like, we toured with Taking Max Sunday, and for us it was really hard.
Yeah. It was super hard.
Anytime you're playing for an audience that maybe you're not exactly what they're expecting, it's a challenge. And I mean, even we toured with Never Shout Never, and like his fans just didn't give a shit about us, and it's just like discouraging. And
even if you're co-headline, I mean, the Amber Lynn tour was very strange tour. Like, no one really reacted either. Like, our fans were kind of uncomfortable, and their fans were uncomfortable. And it's just like, it even goes up to the headlining thing, so that's strange. But
So do you feel like what you guys do is an advantage or a disadvantage by being so different?
It's both, kind of like what I said before. We always stand out, because we've never really done, until that Dashboard tour, we had never done like an acoustic tour, and even that, we're still kind of doing our own thing, a little different than what he does. But we stand out, but it is challenging. I'll say this, when you got the crowd and when you don't when you're acoustic, because you can just hear everybody's conversations. So somebody in the front row could just be talking about work that week or something.
These guys.
Or just saying this band fucking sucks. Or just putting the gun to their head.
I can fucking hear you, man.
Shut up. So it can be challenging, but then, like I said, when you got them too, because if you can quiet a room down or you can get a crowd to be attentive, it's really something. And like, I think I told you this the day, but on that Dashboard tour, we bombed the first 3 shows, like really, really fucking bad. Like we did like $100 in merch at Irving Plaza in New York, we tried to do the thing where we do it on a headline tour. We're like, hey, for this next song, you guys have been singing along so well, but can you guys be as quiet as possible for this next song? And the guy just went, fuck you, in the crowd, and just like, dude, it was like,
oh God,
it was hard, man. And so we had to kind of reapproach it, so
hard.
You kind of reapproach the way that you banter with the crowd, you reapproach the song selection, the song sequencing of your set, and you find what works and what doesn't. But I don't know, it's like something like the Newfound Glory tour. That was Turnover was the opener. We were second, and then Turnstile was after us. They're just like a fucking hardcore band, and then Newfound Glory. So it was this strange mixed bill show. And I'll say this: I don't think anybody went to that show at the time and was like, "I'm a fan of all 4 of these bands. That's why I'm going."
Yeah.
It's like I don't think anybody that went to that show knew who more than 2 of those bands were. Yeah. Right. So it was a really interesting tour lineup. I loved it because I ended up loving all those bands. Like Turnover, I wasn't aware of at the time. And now they've gone on to put out some great fucking records, and they're an awesome band. And same thing with Turnstile. I wasn't super familiar with them before the tour, but I am a big Newfound Glory fan. So those can be challenging. I'll say this. I think if the crowd's a little older, but not too old, they're more likely to be attentive. And I think they're more like seasoned concert goers. Whereas like going and, years ago, we did that tour with Pierce the Veil and Sleeping with Sirens, and we were playing to a shitload of people. It was like our first big opportunity. And there was nights where it was really good, and there was nights where it was really bad, and you just walk off stage and you just go, we didn't get them. It's like, I don't know, whatever it is. But
I think that's probably kind of what the Never Shout Ever tour was like for us. It was really, I mean, this was in 2010, so I mean his fans were so young. I mean, like 12 years old and 12 to 14 years old. Like this was their first concert, and we were kind of in this like phase of like we were going through giving a fuck,
our rebellion stage for sure.
I mean, we opened with a song that we've never put out. We just like wrote. And like John would like walk out every night like wearing a bathrobe and fucking cowboy boots. And like we just play this fucking noisy, like weird ass song, and then we would play like 2 other songs that weren't released yet, and we were just pushing back against like what people like, you know, people I guess thought of us kind of like a boy band kind of a thing, you know, because we wore like matching outfits on our first record, and we you know, had an Akon cover that was really popular, and you know, and we were just like rebelling against that, like as hard. We were just like trying to drive it into the ground.
Like we should have
this is
all
just
walked out
self-destruct.
smoking cigarettes on stage
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, that's we did like everything but that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we'd like walk off every night, and I would just be like, "Fuck, like we're not getting them. Like this isn't working."
So do you, when that kind of stuff happens, do you readjust or do you dig your feet in? What do you do?
Now we readjust,
but before
then we were like, fuck it. Fuck everything. Let's just fucking be
Yeah.
even weirder. Like it was so yeah, I mean it was like our teenage years of being in a band. Like
yeah.
it was
and it was like, you know, I remember having a conversation with Derek from Mayday in like 2009, and he was saying, you know, both of our bands so far, everything that we've done, so this was on our first album, was the only album out, and everything that both of our bands have done so far has only been up, right? So every tour that you do, the next one's just bigger than the last. You're doing better in merch every night. You like everything is just up, and then you go and you put out your like second record, and even if things are going great, you know, it's just different. You can't ever reclaim that amount of like hype that you have on your first record. Like, yes, you can grow and get 5 times the size, but that like feeling that you get on your first record, you can never get again, you know? And like your team maybe like, you know, just like everyone thinks that the possibilities are just endless, you know? And then you go and you put out like your second record, and then it's like kind of like the reality hits of like, oh, well, this is kind of like where we're at right now. It's
meet
not
some kind
only,
of ceiling that
Yeah.
you never saw coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
and you're just flat.
and I think like during that phase, like that was what was kind of what was happening. And you know, we've grown a lot since then, but it's like a scary thing, you know, because you know it's like your first record's like the first couple months of a relationship. It's just incredible. There's no, you know, there's nothing bad, and then it's like, oh shit, like now this is like getting real, you know.
Yeah.
Is that something, you know, being a band that, you know, is fresh on, you know, only having 2 records out so far, is that something that you felt at all? Like,
I think we felt a lot of pressure going into the second record cycle, because I think, you know, we had a record that seemed like it really connected with a lot of people. And that was the first full-length record I had ever made as a singer, you know? So it was like, I was a new songwriter, and I felt like I was still learning that process. But I think, I don't know, I feel like our fans have been really, like, lenient with us as far as, like, you know, we started off as a pop-punk band, then we went acoustic, and our third record, we kind of still were playing acoustic guitars, but it was a lot darker, moodier, vibier. And I think we've always kind of been somewhat fearless with making changes and just going for it, because it's seemed to work out so far. You know, it's like it's been that growth, but we definitely saw in like the last record cycle, like that excitement about a new band with their first record out. You see that go away, and then it kind of turns into, just connecting with the fans that you've earned over that time, and turning the excitement into like a real lasting connection with people. And that was something that I think was challenging on our last record. Our last record definitely wasn't as like well received as our first one, because we kind of changed, you know, another time after we changed after our first full length. So I think it was challenging, but we were also during that time doing our first ever headlining tour, so we were finally feeling the excitement, which
was big. I mean, I remember you walking Warped Tour, handing out flyers, and then like a week later, you have a sold out show at the at the Troubadour, which comes back to like the hustle doesn't ever end. Even you know, for a band to sell out like the Troubadour is a big deal, and for you to still be handing out like flyers to it when you didn't need to do that. Like
We needed to sell that thing out, man. I was like,
got those,
whatever
got
it
those
takes.
extra, got those extra 50 tickets.
I made like 500 flyers to pass out at that Warped. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's something where there is like a little bit like at first there's a little bit of like panic maybe that comes in. Like, I mean, I don't know, like if you remember, like, you know, probably Pioneer especially, where like now, you know, and over time the record really, people, you know, it's probably like our fan like favorite album, but at first it was like, oh, like this isn't what it used to be.
Yeah. I mean, I remember playing shows, those Pioneer shows, and I mean, we were playing the whole album and no one had heard it. So that's definitely weird. But like it was the first time when it was like, ooh, this next year might be different than it has been. Like,
And it was.
and oh yeah, definitely. And it's just part of it though. Like a lot of people, what happens though is people get scared and then they go back to whatever they thought worked the first time, and then it's like a half-assed version of it because you can't do it. It's
You
not
can't
possible.
recapture it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not possible. So the only way to do it is just keep going and doing whatever path you're already on, and hopefully it works or you're done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Whenever bands went back, it always seemed so phony to me, and like it seemed like you're trying to do something that isn't there anymore.
That's just the definition of regression.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like you had that excitement for that sound when you did it, but you're not going to get that excitement again. But that, I mean, I would say like for us, like you know, we just made our third record. It's, you know, in the stages of being mixed right now.
Which I've heard a couple songs, by the way, and they're awesome.
Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
But it was another one where we just said, okay, well, you know, we did our last record and we were like really open to like any kind of production elements. Like I said, we wanted to make something that was like more brooding tempos, darker sonically, where I wasn't belting as much. It was more like layered vocals of harmonies and falsettos and spacious, like sonically, you know. And this next record, we said, we want to make a record that's fun to play live, that's fun to sing along to. And I'll say this, like when we put out our second record, the darker one, we did that headline tour, our first headline tour right after it. And we like, you know, it was our first time up having our own production and stuff. And I programmed this really like backlit, like moody light show. And we tried to just make a really emotionally captivating set. We played all of our songs that felt like they had like a really like heavy message to them.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And it was like, I think that tour was awesome. It was our first headline tour, so there was excitement to it. And, you know, we still played some old songs and stuff, but it was like, you know, we played like 6 songs from the new record and it was cool. And then we went off and we did that tour with Dashboard, and seeing him play those songs where it was like, okay, that's a fucking sing-along song, you know, like, you know, that's a song that's like, that makes the crowd, like those moments in a song where like everybody's hands are up and everybody's in that same moment together. It kind of inspired us. We're just like, fuck, we need to have that feeling again.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
not again, but we need to have that
I mean,
feeling.
Yes. Yeah,
like we went through that exact same thing. You know, we made a record called Forever Halloween. It's kind of in the same way. It was a darker record, and we loved it. But playing a lot of the songs live just wasn't as fun.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
still, I mean, it some of them still aren't as fun.
And then that's kind of what made American Candy what it was, because sometimes it takes that, and then you're like, okay, like now, like we want to like grow, but we want to like make it fun.
Yeah. Totally. I mean,
Well, we like I said, we did that Dashboard tour, and then we did a summer headline tour of this year, and we said, okay, let's do the exact opposite tour, right? Let's do every fast song, everyone where I'm belting, everyone that like feels really good. Instead of like doing this like moody like lighting, we had like umbrella jellyfish on stage. We had a bubble machine, like it was an Under the Sea themed tour, and it was just like, dude, it was corny,
awesome.
just like we are as people. We are two very corny, just dorky dudes, and it felt like really true to us as people, and it felt true to the music, and it felt true to our fans, and it felt like the actual connection that we made on that tour was so much better than it was on the first headline tour. And I think doing the Dashboard tour, seeing that, feeling that, and then doing that subsequent headline tour kind of put us in this position to say, we're making a summer record. Like our next album is going to be like up tempo. It's going to be fun. Still, emotional lyrically and stuff. I think that's the only thing that I feel inspired to write. I don't like writing songs about, watching a good show on Netflix or something. I'm still going to write about the same topics and stuff. But sonically, I want this record to feel really bright, really up tempo and fun, and focus on what are these songs going to be like live? Because on the last record, it was that moment of let's make this song sound as fucking cool as possible, and never a thought in the world of how the hell are we going to pull this off live?
Yeah,
that's kind of what happened to American Candy. It was like, not that it was a bummer of a record or whatever, but like we didn't think about what it would be like playing live. It wasn't like even though that's the way we made it, but it was never like.
Oh, you're saying Forever Halloween.
What did I say?
Yeah, you said American Candy. But.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Forever Halloween. It's like it wasn't as fun to do live, and then it was like the exact same thing. It's like let's make a live record, like a cool something that's gonna be fun to play live and exciting and groovy and stuff. So. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of always is the backlash. It's like you do something moody and whatever, and you're like, okay, that's out of my system. Let's do something fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we could have just gone further down that rabbit hole and just like been like, okay, let's really try to make some more music like this and explore other sounds and stuff. But it kind of pushed us in the other direction because we were doing some like kind of not like electronic stuff exactly, but like a lot of like ambient tones and like ambient guitar tones and a little bit of like electronic percussion and synth pads and stuff like that, and just like really filling out these songs on our last record, Low Tides. And then I told Pat this already, but we kind of created a box for ourselves on this new record. We said, these are the kinds of songs that we want to play, and this is the production elements that we're going to use. And we tried to make it kind of concise, where we said, hey, nothing, no virtual instruments, nothing where it would be really easy to just press a key or drop in this sample of this sound that has been recorded a million times. But it's not inspiring to do that. It's not fun, and it's not going to make a record that feels kind of authentic and organic. So let's make a record where everything has to be played, right? So that's awesome. No programming piano, no programming strings or anything like that. Let's have all of these instruments really played, whether we could play them or not. But like, let's play everything, and let's make a record where every song feels like it was a song that was recorded, not just like a song that had, this kick drum sample dropped into the whole song for the whole record.
Yeah.
So we really just took the whole record process was song by song, and we focused on every sound that was going to be in the song was like a decision process, not like a we'll figure it out later kind of thing. Cool. So it was like
super great.
It was in a way, it sounds like, okay, well, we limited what we can do by saying we need to record within these bounds and be concise. But I feel like it was like freeing at the same time as it was challenging, because it was like, okay, with this in mind, how can we make like the best version of this possible? And the recording process was like so much fucking fun. And like everybody was in good spirits the whole time, and it seemed to move really like quickly. Like we never got stumped on anything. It was just like I was writing, I wrote a couple bridges on the spot that were just like, everybody's just like, fuck yeah, do that. Rick, like, and it was like those moments where you're in the studio where you're like, I might want to like flesh this idea out more, and then we'll record it like next week or something, where it was like, I would just pick up the guitar and be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then like our producer, Ryan, was just like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Go in there.
That's sweet.
Go do it.
Yeah.
And that's like,
don't think about it.
He was really fearless.
In
like
the studio.
This guy, Ryan Hadlock, he's 40 years old. He's been doing this for a long time. And leaning on his experience and his ear was like huge for us, because like I said, Anthony and I kind of have very different perception on our songs at times in the creative process. And so we would kind of just be like, okay, Ryan has such a cool ear. Like we went to him because we love the way his records sound. He's the tiebreaker. Just anytime, whatever. Like if he feels strongly about something and he likes it, let's just go with that. Yeah. And it made the whole process so smooth and so much fun. And by the end of it, all those little things that you would have fought about during the process, once they're behind you, they don't mean as much as they do like in that moment. Like it's like I doubt there's some time where you wanted to rip some big ass drum fill and then everybody talked you out of it, and afterward you're like, fucking song, you know, like like it's like, dude, it's just like it turns into the one song instead of all the parts, like I said before.
Yeah.
It's not selfish.
Yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
dude, it was such a cool process, and
It's awesome. Well,
this new record is gonna be fucking fun for us. Like it's gonna be so much fun. You know, where I'm just got off a call talking with my buddy who does like most of our videos and stuff, and I have all these ideas in my head because like we're so planned ahead of the record. We had the album art concept done before the album was recorded. You know, like we had a clear direction of where we wanted to go with it, and having that direction in our minds before we did everything has made this whole process fun and easy. And it's like now we just get to be creative and make a bunch of art that is like kind of fun and wacky, you know.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. That's sweet.
Well, I can't wait for people to hear it, and I have a feeling we'll be hanging out a lot more at some point while you guys are performing these songs. And,
I agree.
Yeah. So, but hell yeah. Well, thanks for chatting.
Thanks to the
Appreciate
8123 family for having me. What does that mean, by the way? You guys probably get asked that all the time.
It's an address for a parking garage that like our manager and John, our singer, and all of their friends used to go hang out and like smoke cigarettes at and like curse.
In high school, yeah.
It was like
Curse.
it was like their hangout zone, and
It's like the Bad Boys Club.
I guess, yeah.
Bunch of fucking bad boys.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I've always thought of you guys. So
Yeah. Good.
just a bunch of little fuckers.
That's the image that we're trying to
Bad Boys Club.
convey.
All right, this
sure.
podcast is brought to you by Bad Boys and the Bad Boys movie with Will
because we
Smith.
bad boys for life.
All right.
Well, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.